What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 287th episode of the Xbox Drive. I'm one of your hosts, the Ryan Turford, the man on the moose, and oh my god, every single time I'm doing the RPG Cave intro, because that's so ingrained in my brain that it's just, I can't, it's hard to do this without Sean, because Sean's so good at doing the intro for me. But tonight I am joined once again, for the first time in a little while, by Kevin Ainsworth, the Muffin Mon himself. Mr. Save the Game Media. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going well. As we were talking before the show, I had some pizza tonight, was playing some games, so I'm having a nice chill evening. The only issue was when I hopped on to do this, and then none of my stuff would work, and it was kind of a scramble to figure it all out. I was worrying, getting some weird messages on my computer, but we're here, ready to go, talk about games and Xbox, so I'm always happy to be with you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, again, Kevin's not putting it lightly. Like, his computer sounded like it was making it sound like it was gonna melt or something if we continued to keep using it for whatever reason or another. But anyways, of course, the weather also, the Xbox Drive, of course, Kevin, when we talk about Xbox, but we also talk about the weather. Man, the weather needs to decide what it wants to do already. Like, it's 9 degrees Celsius here in Toronto today. It was 25 like 2 days ago. It was snowing when I came home from work last night. Like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like, it's too much.
Yeah, it was almost 90 last weekend, and it's been in the 40s since then, Fahrenheit for us Americans here, all right? So, but it's going back into the 80s this weekend, all right? So at least the weekends we get some nice weather.
That's true. But my allergies are just like, please make this stop. I can't take this anymore. But anyways, let's clean out the garage. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right meow over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming, or if you're watching the video on demand later, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we go live with a live stream like this one, or whenever we put up new videos on the channel. And we might have more to say about that in a little bit. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to rate us there if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or subscribe if you haven't subscribed already as well. And then also, if you want this show a little bit early on the audio feed, or if you just want one giant big podcast feed with all the carpool gaming goodness on it, or if you want some exclusive content, you're going to head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/carpool gaming. I was so excited about it. I hit my microphone, threw a little tip in the old tip jar, and out comes content just like Jonas Young did for becoming, he went back and became a gold member again. So huge shout out to Jonas Young for supporting the show. Because of course, patrons really do help the show exist. So huge thank you to you, Jonas. You rock. And then last thing I wanted to touch on, hey, by the way, we've been teaching this thing on Twitter. If people have noticed, we have this little tease of something we're actually working on behind the scenes. We're working pretty hard on this thing that, we can't talk about yet, but Monday, you will be able to find out what it is all about. We'll be talking about it on all the podcast feeds, of course, next week as well. So you definitely want to head on over to our Twitter, twitter.com/carpoolgaming. Make sure you're following there for our big announcement on Monday. Well, without further ado, Kevin, it is time to grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And I'm going to start with you, man. What did you play this week? Because it looks like you've got some interesting choices on your list.
Yeah, so I've played a lot of games. Unfortunately, none of them have been on the Xbox console.
But it's not that you didn't want to. It's just they just didn't come to Xbox. There's only so much you can do about that.
Every game I've played has not come to every other platform except Xbox. So let's kick it off with the one people have heard me talk about if they've been paying attention to my show over Project X Talk. I have finished Trails of Cold Steel 4, Ryan. I have gone through all of the Cold Steel games in my month and a half journey to knock them out, and I liked it. Didn't love it as much as the other ones. I think it has a few pacing issues towards the start, and there's a few things that happen. I don't really like some of the plot points, but it was good overall. So I'm very happy that I can be prepared for Trails into Reverie in July. Take a nice little break. Part of me contemplated, and Marcus O'Neill kind of egged me on, go play Trails in the Sky and see if I could finish those. But then I'm like, I need a break. I don't want to burn out. I need a little chill session from Trails. But I loved it. great month and a half.
Which, of course, is just crazy to think about because, of course, this all stemmed from you, me, and Matt doing a review from Trails from Azure like a month and a half ago when we got that game from our friends over at NIS. And like you were like, hey, we were just kind of like all in on this franchise, and that's all you've been playing, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like, I can't believe you actually finished all those games in a month and a half. Like, that is so much time put into those games, which of course just means like, definitely I think you're taking the right approach. Like, I think you don't want to burn yourself out on this, especially it'd be different if Trails into Reverie wasn't coming out. Then I would say, you might as well go for it at that point. But since you know that one's coming, you may as well just wait at this point.
Yeah, I told Seth, I think it was, that instead of my work calendar, instead of having like meetings and stuff, I had finished chapter 3 Cold Steel 4 by this date on my calendar. And I was like, if anyone looks at my work calendar, they're gonna be like, what is he on about? But that's just what I was doing. I was on a schedule and I got it done. But I want to talk about some other games. One that I'm disappointed isn't on Xbox, Mega Man Battle Network Collection, Ryan. I don't know if you've jumped in. I know Matt over there on the PlayStation Drive pretty excited about this one. And him and me are cut from the same cloth about some things. Pop Punk and Mega Man Battle Network being two of those. Because this has been a collection that I've really wanted for a long time. We've gotten the Zero collection, which I really like those games as well. And then we've gotten some of the classic ones. But this is the one this is my Mega Man growing up. This is what really got me into Mega Man. And I haven't finished the first one. I know my brother has. I think he rolled credits in like 7 hours on the first one. So they're not overly long games. I am enjoying just slowly going through it. I like knock out a boss a day is usually what I'm doing right now. So it's like 30 minutes, an hour of playtime. Because some of the things in this game are very old school JRPG style, like where to go, the random encounters, which I think are pretty high, the rate that you run into enemies. But there are times where I'm like, I need to go look at a guide. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And it's nostalgic because somehow I figured this out as a kid. Like, I beat this game somehow. But as an adult, I'm like, I haven't the slightest idea how I managed this. It's still great, though. I'm loving just like, making your deck of chips and then fighting the enemies. And for the backtracking that you do have to do in the game, they have a Buster Max mode where you can just turn your normal attack to do 100 damage, knock out the enemies in one hit, and just fly through that. So it does help with the pacing and the random encounter rate, I think, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know, like, you and Matt have both talked about these a lot. I have never actually played these games before, Kevin. But I, like you, was also really excited for this collection to come out because, to your point, we got all the other Mega Man games, and these were the only ones that were really missing at this point. So I knew like this had to happen at some point, and I'm glad that it finally did. And I'm excited to play them for the first time, but it's also coming out at the time where everything else is kind of coming out, and that's why I'm like, I know I could start these right now, but I would have to sacrifice playing the Pixel remasters for those, and I've been dying to play those ever since they first announced them. So that's what I decided. Okay, if I was going to play one of the two of them, because I want to play through Final Fantasy 1 through 6 again, especially because I haven't finished all of those games. I've played them, but I've never finished them all. I definitely am excited to finally go through and do that. And then Battle Network, I know will be waiting for me later in the year because I already have it. And I've definitely booted it up and tried it out. I like what they did with the interface as well. They've got like CG Mega Man who talks to you about stuff. And so yeah, I'm excited to check some of those out. And also to your point about the old schoolness of it, I imagine that's also something that they just iterated on and corrected a lot more in later entries. But because you're going back to the first entry, that's probably why you're seeing that as much, because we saw that in like the Castlevania Advanced Collection, where if you've played Circle of the Moon, there's a lot of roughness around the edges, whereas as you go through those games, a lot of that gets smoothed out. So I imagine something similar probably happens here.
Yeah, and I always say it's that old school design mentality where as I mentioned, I think last time I was on, I was playing the ease games, and some of those older ones, it's like, oh, fall down this random hole in the
Yeah.
middle of this dungeon to progress, and I'm like, how would I ever have known that? Like, why would I jump down a hole? But so it kind of has that design, which if you can get by that, or you can just use a guide, there's plenty of spoiler-free guides that'll just tell you like where to go and not like what happens. I find those all over the place. They're very helpful. So I'm rocking with that. And again, it's a collection that I'm just gonna slowly progress through. Like I'll probably beat the first one maybe next week on my current trajectory before like we get into the big game releases that are popping out. But it's not one I'm like, oh, I have to beat all six or whatever there
Yeah.
is right now because I'm just gonna slowly pop in and out throughout the year, throughout next year, however long it takes me, because these are games that I want to enjoy for nostalgia, but not like, oh, they're new releases. I need to play them right now because I've played most of them.
Yeah. Well, the best part is there's actually really technically 8 games because you have 2 versions of 2 of the games because they did the Pokemon thing where you had, Team Proto Man and Team something else. So you can go through those games twice if you want to and get, 2 slightly different experiences if you want to. But also I'm just like, man, why didn't this come to Xbox? Because like we got all the other Mega Man collections. This is the only one we didn't
I know.
get. So
I
it breaks my
so
heart.
mad. Yep, me
But
too.
again, it's acceptable for us to talk about this stuff on this podcast because, as I mentioned in previous episodes, the Xbox Drive is slowly kind of becoming also our unofficial PC podcast. And this game's on PC. So, it technically counts. Just like, Trails of Cold Steel 4 as well. But
It's on PC.
yeah, I know you have one other game here that you wanted to mention as well, right, Kevin?
Yeah, so I'll be surprised if anyone has heard of this game. It's called Clive and Wrench. And if it sounds like a Ratchet and Clank ripoff, that is because it kind of is a Ratchet and Clank ripoff. It is a indie 3D platforming collectathon game. I'm pretty sure it was made by one person primarily. It came out, I want to say, early February this year. It didn't get great reviews. I think it's sitting in like the 50s on OpenCritic, to
Oh,
be honest
Jesus.
with you. Yeah, so it got pretty rough reviews. I read the reviews because it was a game I was looking forward to. I'm a big 3D platforming collectathon guy. They had like a 3D platforming showcase where there were a bunch of games they showed off last year, and I noted a few, and this one was high on my list. So I was a little disappointed. Apparently had some technical issues and bugs. They've released some patches since then, but it was on sale for $20. I had $20 credit on the PlayStation Store. So I decided it's not gonna cost me anything in my pocket. I'm gonna go for it. And I'm really liking this game. This game is a lot of fun. It's not like there's no story to care about. It's literally just platforming, collecting things. I've 100% in all 3 of the worlds so far. I'm probably gonna grab the platinum because it seems very easy to do. It's just a Kevin game where I can like relax, turn off my brain, just have some fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, again, I saw some other people talking about this game as well when it was coming out. But then after kind of the reviews came out, I know a lot of people stopped talking about it very quickly. So I'm glad you're having some fun with this. But I can't see in the chat ask the question, is it 2D or 3D? I'm pretty sure it's 3D, but
It's 3D. It is a 3D platforming collectathon game. So it's you play as a rabbit, and then you have a monkey on your back, and like you will spin the monkey in the air to glide through the air after you double jump, and you use the monkey as like your weapon.
so literally Ratchet and Clank is what I'm
Yes,
hearing.
yes, yeah. He's a backpack. Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's a whole. Yeah, it's very much inspired and classic hub world. Go to different areas. The snake merchant from Ukulele is a guest appearance in this game. I just ran into him.
That's a very weird crossover to happen, but sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I was like, I know you.
That's so weird and also funny at the same time. Okay, well, moving on, Kevin. I played some games this week as well, and again, to your point earlier, not all of them are on Xbox, but it's just one of those things that where it kind of happens right now. First off, Resident Evil 4 got its mercenary mode update I finished the game, of course. I talked about it on previous episodes. Loved it. I've been kind of like debating when I'm going to do kind of my second playthrough of it, but I think the Mercenaries mode actually really wanted to inspire me to go back and play that game a little bit, because it actually, if you play through the Mercenaries mode, you unlock the hand cannon, which is one of the 3 most powerful weapons in Resident Evil 4. Like, it's one of the weapons you would normally grind professional mode in order to unlock, because it sometimes will destroy bosses in one hit, as an example. So it's definitely like one of the 3 weapons that you want to unlock that you target in that game. So having an easy way to access it through Mercenaries mode, I thought was super cool of Capcom to do. So, and it's totally optional. So if you want to go through the actual route of obtaining it normally, you can definitely still do that if you want to. But Mercenaries mode is just a fun, like, arcadey, pick your character of one of 4 characters that they have available to you, because you can play as Leon, Luis, you can play as Krauser or as Hunk. And you go through one of 3 settings, and you just try and survive as long as possible while defeating waves and waves of enemies. And there's of course like a timer that's going, and you want to try and keep going as long as possible by doing headshots to add more time, or there's items that you find around the environment to then give you more time. This mode was in the original game, and I think it was definitely much more fleshed out in the original game, but I know that Capcom has mentioned that they're updating this mode, so this isn't kind of its final form yet. There's going to be some more content coming to it. But I thought it was a super fun distraction and reason to revisit Resident Evil 4. And I kind of, again, now I'm like seriously eyeing going for all the achievements in this game. I wasn't before, because I was like, I don't know if I really want to do that grind again of, getting the Chicago typewriter and the hand cannon and the rocket launcher by beating the game like 10 times. This significantly cuts that time down by a lot. So I'm excited now to maybe go and actually go do the prospect of actually getting all the achievements for Resident Evil 4, because I love this game.
Wow. I know my brother loved it. He played through it, but he wasn't gonna 100% it because of the amount of times you have to replay it, and you have to play on the hardest difficulty, and you have to like S rank it or whatever, which means you can only save like 10 times or something ridiculous. 15. Yeah. So it's cool that they've added a mode that makes it easier. Was this a game that added microtransactions too, where you can buy weapons?
That is a thing too. And it's not so much buying weapons, you buy tickets that then allow you to, because each weapon that you get in Resident Evil 4 has an ultimate upgrade, because you can upgrade your weapons throughout the game. That's something that goes back to the original game. But each weapon is an ultimate upgrade, and some of those upgrades are double the power of this weapon, or some of them are, this weapon has unlimited ammo. So that's what the tickets are used for. You can either spend in-game money that you get, or you actually earn tickets in-game by doing specific quests in the game for the merchant, or you can buy the tickets if you really want to do that. But that is an option.
So you can break the game, make it easier.
Yeah, you can do that. Just like, but this isn't much different than what they've done before. Because in Resident Evil 3 and 2, what they offered was this bundle to unlock all of the unlocks. So you wouldn't have to grind to get, the grind playthroughs to get, the crazy weapons if you didn't want to. You could pay to get those unlocked if you wanted to. But at that point, it's like, well, why? What's the point then of having those weapons if I didn't go through didn't have a reason to use them? Whereas it's different with the hand cannon, because when you unlock that, again, it doesn't allow you to beat professional right away, but it does help that process, and you are able to get those runs going a lot faster. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not nothing unexpected, but they are there. It's a thing. But moving on, Minecraft Legends, we talked about it on the show last week. Of course, game came out yesterday, and I'm still playing it a little bit, not as much because new games are coming out. I'm still looking maybe for us to do something next week or the week after, where we maybe play some multiplayer, and maybe do some 4-on-4 action, because Court and I talked about it last week, but like that was one of the most promising things about the game, is maybe trying, 4-on-4 versus multiplayer, or playing some of the 4-player co-op modes together. And of course, now that the game's finally out, we can finally get people together to try and do that. So I think we're going to try and put something together for that in the next week or two. But that's definitely on my list. Also, Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters just came out today. I jumped into Final Fantasy 1, and it was so cool just going back to those original games and playing them again with a new coat of paint. I immediately, of course, went into the options to turn off the arranged music and throw on the original NES soundtracks, and make it so that I'm auto running, so I'm going through the maps very quickly, and I'm having a blast with it. But obviously, I'm only like an hour in because I only got to play right before we're starting this podcast tonight. And then last but not least, of course, on every show, Kevin, I've made it a bit in the last couple of weeks to talk about an NES game that I randomly played this week. And this week, I decided to try out, on my break at work, Classic Concentration on the NES. Now, are you familiar with the classic game show from 1987, Classic Concentration, Kevin?
No, I've never heard of this before in my life.
Okay, so it was a game show hosted by Alex Trebek before he hosted Jeopardy! And what was interesting about this show is it's kind of like the match puzzle from Super Mario Brothers 3. If you played Super Mario Brothers 3, you know, like there's like the card, you flip over the cards and you have to match, you know, two of the shapes together. And Classic Concentration is literally just that. But behind all of the cards that you're trying to match, there's like a phonetic puzzle where essentially it'll be like a foot and then an egg. And then you have to like figure out like by sounding those words out, what the puzzle that like the sentence that they're trying to put together is. So there was an NES game based off this TV show, and I was like, hey, I remember Classic Concentration, and I saw this just on my analog pocket, and I'm on my lunch break. I'm like, I might as well try it out. And Kevin, boy howdy, let me tell you, this game's a lot of fun. And I actually dropped a lot of time playing Classic Concentration over the last week. It was a lot of fun. Like it was my game that I played on the bus or the streetcar or just on my lunch break at work on my analog pocket, and just had a great time with it.
I mean, it's always good to have just those types of games. You know what it is for me is the Xbox app. You can play Jewel in it, and I play it like every day. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like this is like supplanting any other mobile game I would probably play during the same time frame, because I bring my analog pocket with me everywhere, and it's just a great device. I love playing NES games on it. So playing Classic Concentration was super fun. I loved playing it. But there you go. That's everything we've been playing this week. But let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news. But Kevin, as you probably know, but because you also have your own Xbox podcast, of course, Project X Talk over on Save the Game Media. Folks, make sure to go support Kevin because they're awesome. There's not a lot of that news in the world of Xbox this week. But there is one news story I wanted to touch on here, and that is, of course, the new games coming to Game Pass this April. Like, to kind of round out the month, we got our second update. First up, Minecraft Legends, out right now. Go play it. It's fun. Our reviews on the channel if you want to, again, hear my full thoughts on Minecraft Legends, because I had a lot to say about it. And then on April 20th, so tomorrow, from the day that we're actually broadcasting this, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I know some people in our community played this. I know Seth played this on his channel over at All N. So if you want to hear more about it, you can go check it out over there as well. Or I know Court's other channel, Three Dads and a Console, also did a review for this, so you can definitely check it out on those places as well. Also, Medieval Dynasty apparently was already on Series X and PC for Game Pass, but now the Xbox One version is out now, or out on the 20th as well. So there you go. We got an Xbox One game as well. We've got Homestead Arcana up on April 21st. And then on April 26th, we are getting Cassette Beasts on PC. Apparently, this is a game about cassette tapes. And this is what I read from the description. That's all I know about it. And then on April 27th, we're getting two good games, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition and The Last Case of Benedict Fox, which we saw actually during last year's Xbox presentation. It looks like this really cool Metroid, like dark, like Cthulhu, like Metroidvania game. And I'm actually excited to check that one out. I'm hearing good things about it from, preview coverage. And then, of course, Redfall, May 2nd. So, Kevin, does anything here jump out at you as far as, games people should be checking out or anything that you'd want to check out?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good second half of the month, to be honest. I know a lot of people, my Project X Talk co-host especially, is excited about Coffee Talk Episode 2. Not really my type of game, but apparently the first one is a huge hit among people that played it. So I know Homestead Arcana got a lot of hype in that indie showcase. That was one of the big looking. If you want to be a mage, and I think it's first person and has some gathering and alchemy stuff going on. Not my type, but I wish Cassette Beast was on Xbox because I think that was the highlight of that ID at Xbox showcase. It's very Pokemon inspired, where it looked really like the art style, the battling mechanics. It looks like something I'd be interested in. The sad thing, we have to wait for it to come to Xbox. It's not the same as the PC. Yeah. It's a little disappointing because I'm probably just going to not play it on PC. I'm just going to wait. My big one here is Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I am super excited for that. I got Guilty Gear Strive installed. I had both my PlayStation and my Xbox behind me. I was so excited when that finally came over and they've had crossplay, except crossplay messed up the servers. Yeah. So you haven't been able to play for weeks now online.
Yeah, it kind of broke everything.
Yeah, that was a big disappointment. I am hoping this one won't have any issues because this one has characters from all over. Like it has some Persona characters in there, it has some Ruby characters in there. Like I'm really excited to just dive in, and I've never played a Blaze Blue game, so I just wanna hop in and check this one out as I continue into my anime fighter style games. So. Yeah. That one's big for me, and then Redfall, obviously. I know 30 FPS. I'm still going to play it. Still going to check it out. Hopefully it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, Redfall, we talked about it on last week's show with like Court and I, and I'm playing that on PC at this point because now that I actually have a PC that's can, put out some pretty good numbers, I think I'm actually going to probably play it there because it'll be, good frame rate there. But I'm glad you brought up Blaze Blue because if you didn't mention it, I was going to mention it because I love Blaze Blue. Going back to the first one on PS3, Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger. Those games are super fun, especially if you're into 2D fighting games and you like stuff like Guilty Gear. It's made by most people who make Guilty Gear, so it's going to be up your alley. And this one in particular plays differently than the other Blaze Blue games, though, because it's more like Marvel versus Capcom. So it's a 2-on-2 fighter. And it's to your point, it's a crossover fighter between Ruby, Persona, the Blaze Blue characters, Senra Kagura, a bunch of different franchises in there, but it's very arcadey. And again, very much goes at the pace that Marvel versus Capcom plays at. So if you at all like the Marvel versus Capcom games and you haven't played a Blaze Blue game before, play Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. You won't be disappointed. This game's awesome. And I know that it didn't get amazing reviews when it came out because the original release was fairly limited, but this special edition includes all the DLC characters, and they're all really fun to play with, as well as a bunch of new content added to the game. So I think this is actually a really good win for Xbox. But yeah, to your point as well, Last Case of Benedict Fuck, this is one that I'm excited about. Redfall, I'm excited to play. Coffee Talk, I liked the first one, but I'm also not jumping to play this right away. But I think I'll play this one before it leaves Game Pass because I did really like the first game as well. But it's more of a visual novel / coffee making simulator. So, you got to be into that kind of thing in order to want to play a game like this, I think.
Yeah, not really my seat, and I'll stick that. But there's something here for everyone this month. I think there's so much variety.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has to make up at least a little bit for the games that are leaving, Kevin, because there's some good games on this list for the games leaving April 30th, starting with Bugsnax, Destroy All Humans Remake, Dragon Quest Builders 2, shout out to Sean Capri, who is a big champion for Dragon Quest Builders 2, Tetris Effect Connected, and Unsold. So if you want to make sure to play them, of course, before April 30th, or grab them while they're on sale with your Game Pass discount before they leave the service, because there's some good stuff here. Like Tetris Effect Connected, of course, Dragon Quest Builders, you're going to want to make sure to have those games, I think.
Tetris Effect Connected has been in Game Pass since the launch of the Series X, so it's been in there years now. That's been a long time. Bugsnax, sad, disappointing that that's leaving. I think has it been a year already?
Yeah, it's literally on the 1-year anniversary of it coming out on Xbox.
That was the game. I got the platinum on PlayStation because that launched there first, obviously. But if you've had time, it's not an overly long game. You could probably finish it before the 30th, to be honest, if you started.
You could probably get the 1,000 gamer score before the 30th at this point, pretty easily. But yeah, I mean, also it's just one of those things too, where some of these will go on sale for a while, like every once in a while. I know Tetris Effect in particular doesn't go on sale very often though. So that's one, if you do want that on Xbox and continue playing it, you're going to probably want to grab it while it's on sale as part of your Game Pass discount. But the others, I know Dragon Quest Builders goes on sale all the time, so probably don't need to grab that one right away. But anyways, moving on, Kevin. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Sunsoft. I forgot to put this on the sheet as well, but Sunsoft, creators of Journey to Silius, or a bunch of old NES games, they're actually doing a presser tonight to announce a whole bunch of stuff. And I know me and Donnie Reese are both chomping at the bit to maybe see if they announce a new Clock Tower game, because there's been hints at that, and they are the ones who hold the IP for Clock Tower. So here's hoping that we get an announcement of that sometime tonight. So I did want to at least mention that in passing before we get to this week's topic, but enough about that, Kevin. It's time to talk about this week's topic, because I actually brought up a topic this week that, I feel like it's pertinent for us to talk about going into this couple weeks, and that is, let's plan out the next 3 months of video games and what we're going to play, Kevin, because there's a lot of stuff. So I jotted down a lot of what I think are kind of the heavy hitters, or the ones that, I kind of have my eye on. I know you probably have some games outside of this, which you can definitely bring up as we go through this, but we'll go through these kind of one at a time, and I kind of want to gauge where your hype level is at. And I know on the thumbnail, because we got a question about this from Robbie Bob Miller in the chat, asking about if anyone had pre-ordered Dead Island Hella Edition. That's actually the first game on this list, April 21st, this week, same day as Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, of course, on Nintendo Switch. After seeing the reviews for Dead Island 2, Kevin, I was not originally excited for this game, but after reading about it, I'm like, this sounds like a Ryan Turford-ass game. Like, I kind of want to play this game, like, pretty badly. I don't know, though, if I'm ready to drop 100 Canadian dollars for the base version of this game, which is what it costs here, because for whatever reason, THQ Nordic just increased the price $10 more than the normal $89.99 that we pay for games here. But I'm curious about checking this one out. Maybe it is a wait for sale because of how expensive it is, but this sounds like a game that is totally up my alley, and I'm like this close to just snapping off just getting this game at this point, Kevin. But what about you? Are you at all interested in Dead Island 2? What do you think?
It scored better than I expected. I will say that. Reviews are more positive than I imagined. That being said, this is not a game for me. Yeah. I'm not interested in Dead Island 2 at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it scored way better than the first one or Riptide did, because those were like in the 50s on Metacritic. Like this was 20 points higher than the last two Dead Island games. So at least I look at that as a market improvement. But again, like a lot of reviews, when you read them, they were either like they couldn't get into the arcadiness of it or the silliness of it. But a lot of the reviewers were like, man, this game's really good because it's how silly it is or how arcadey it is, which of course, again, speaks, like oodles to me, because that's the type of experience I'm kind of looking for with a game like this. So I'm excited to maybe check this one out at some point this year for sure. Honkai Star Rail comes to PC on April 26th. This is the turn-based RPG from the Genshin Impact developers. I know that Garrett and I talked about this on RPG Cave, where I think both of us are probably going to at least install it and try it out and see if we can get into it, but neither of us really got into Genshin, so who knows? Kevin, I want to know from you, what do you think about Honkai Star Rail?
I wish this was a single player game that I could just buy and like beat and then be done with it. Yeah. I don't like that it's a gacha game. I think we've talked about it. Is your brother also into Genshin Impact?
He is a lot.
Yeah, my brother has put thousands of hours and dollars into Genshin Impact, so he's on board with this. This is one, I think he's waiting for the PS5 version, or maybe it'll start somewhere and then transfer it over, because I think they let you do that with Genshin too. But yeah, it's not one I'm super excited for. It's one maybe I'll try if there's like a lull and see if it catches me more than Genshin did, because it is more of a turn-based JRPG. Yeah. Still not thrilled about gacha mechanics though.
No, same here, but I also know, I just know me personally, like I'm really into turn-based games, so I think like if one of these, games from that developer is going to catch me, it's going to be this one. So I'm excited to at least try it and see where things go from there. Next up, Last Case of Benedict Fox, April 27th. We just talked about it. I think I'm checking this one out. I don't know if it's right away, but I think I'm probably playing this one. What about you, Kevin?
Probably not for me. You'll be hard pressed to get me to play a Metroidvania, to be honest with you. It's a genre that I'm very particular about. I think I played Control, which if you want to count that as a 3D Metroidvania, and then I played Fist, that Forged and Shadow Torch game where you were the rabbit, which I really liked in general. But like in general, this isn't a genre I tend to go to very much.
That makes sense. I was gonna slide over and grab a physical, but I wasn't going to. I was gonna say you haven't played Metroid Prime Remastered yet. What are you doing, Kevin? What's going on?
No, I haven't played Metroid Prime Remastered, to be honest with you.
Oh my god, it's so good, Kevin. What are you doing? You don't need to keep playing these Trails games, Kevin. You can play Metroid Prime Remastered anytime you want to. Okay, just throwing it out there as a friend. I'm saying that. But moving on, the next day, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, April 28th. I think everyone in this community is kind of in on this game, but I'm going to surprise you by saying I'm actually not there day one, I think, on this one, because I know that I'm going to be busy with other games at this time, and I'm actually probably more excited to play Dead Island 2 than this one at this point, from everything we know about Jedi Survivor. So I think this is going to be the game for me personally, and I'm just going to say this right now, that probably gets lost in the shuffle between all these big games coming up. But what about you, Kevin? Are you day one on Jedi Survivor?
People are gonna think I don't play any of the popular games, and they might be right. I'm a day never on Jedi Survivor. You want to know how I know I won't like this game? Is because Court Lalon is gonna love this game, and whatever he loves, I don't. That is how it goes with me. It's a two-way street here. Whatever I love, he hates as well. So it's not just me. I didn't play the first one. I'm kind of over Star Wars in general, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way, at least outside of games. Like, I'm not in on any of the TV shows or movies at this point. But if there's a good Star Wars game, I'm definitely in on it at some point. Because that's almost where my love of Star Wars comes from, is Star Wars video games in particular. So whenever a new one comes around that's really good, that I'm excited to play it. But again, this one is like, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I thought I was, the only crazy person that wasn't day one on this one. But I'm glad I'm not. So we're definitely going to be shelving that. Redfall, though, we just talked about it. I think we're both playing it, so we can just kind of move on from there.
Yes.
I think day one, both of us are playing Redfall. May 11th, the day before Zelda, Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 comes out. This is an Advance Wars style indie game from Japan. The first game, pretty fun. I know Garrett also says high praise about this one as well. This one is, again, just wait at this point, because it's also Game Pass day one, which is awesome. So, we'll be able to play it throughout the course of the year on Game Pass. So I think this is probably, I'm going to wait until a lull over the summer or in the fall to maybe check this one out.
I never played the first one. I picked this one up for my fantasy critic, though, because I'm hoping it does well. Probably not one I'm going to jump into right away. Like, I would go back and play the first. If I ever wanted to, I'd go play the first one, then play this one. I have another game before that I want to jump into, though.
Okay.
Back on May 4th, Ravenlock comes from Coco Melon, I believe is the studio. Or no, not Coco Cucumber, I think. One of they have a weird name, okay? But they made Echo Generation. And this game is a hack and slash game where it has this nice little art style going on. It's kind of pixelated, kind of not. I really like the look of this game. It looks a lot of fun. It's coming to Game Pass day one, so I'm jumping in on this one. It's going to be those, when people aren't on to play Redfall co-op, I'm going to be playing this.
Okay, nice. I haven't really heard anything about Ravenlock, so I didn't really know anything about that, but that sounds pretty cool. But moving on, Kevin. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is an Xbox podcast, but we don't talk about lists like this in a vacuum. I have it pre-ordered and I'm ready to play it. So I think everyone's kind of day one on this one, right, Kevin? You day one on Tears of the Kingdom, or you to surprise me again and say you're not going to play it?
I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
Don't come for me, okay? I haven't played a Zelda game in like 20 years or so. I don't know. Whenever Wind Waker came out was probably the last one I actually cared. I watched my brother play Twilight Princess, and it was like, I don't know. I just stopped caring about Zelda at a certain point, and then they made it open world, which is like a genre I don't really care about as an adult, and I'm like, I don't really want to play Breath of the Wild. I don't. It looks cool. I liked the I watched the trailers. I was like, wow, you can fuse weapons. Like, it looks cool. I just know it's not for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, if you know that you don't like open world games, that makes perfect sense. Although clearly it was just because you couldn't invert the controls in Wind Waker. That's why you didn't like it, right? Like that was the real reason.
No.
The best part about Wind Waker is when they remastered that game for the Wii U. The Wii U version also didn't let you invert your controls either. And it's unplayable for certain people. All right, maybe I'll sell you on this one, Kevin. Next up, Lego 2K Drive is out on May 19th. It's basically Mario Kart, but with Lego characters where you get to build your own Lego racer. It's also just an homage to the old Lego racer games back on the N64 and PC, which I really liked. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one because I, first of all, love kart racing games. I really like Mario Kart a lot, and I like the Lego games, and it sounds like, this is being developed by a good developer. So I'm actually thinking that this game's going to be pretty good, and I'm actually excited about this one. What about you, Kevin? Are you at all interested in Lego 2K Drive?
Man, everyone's gonna be like, Kevin doesn't play games. I promise you I'll play games, all right? It's just none of these are speaking to me, okay?
Trust me, we're gonna get to the games I know Kevin will be playing.
Yes, they're coming up, okay? May is a dead month for me, okay? After May 4th, nothing for me. Other than that, we got stuff coming, though.
At least you got time to play all those, Mega Man Battle Network games in May, Kevin.
It's true.
So I won't mention this to you, but Company of Heroes 3, May 30th. You're probably not in on that one either. Whereas I'm interested in playing that one. I think they mentioned that's on Game Pass, but I'm not sure. Either way, Company of Heroes 1 and 2 were really fun, really real-time strategy games on PC, set in World War II, and I've heard good things about the third one, so I'm definitely going to be playing it when it comes to consoles. But June 1st, okay, here's where the RPGs start, Kevin. You ready for this one? I forgot to mention System Shock Remake on PC, May 30th. You're not playing that one either, right, Kevin? Even though it's a first-person RPG?
No, I've never played BioShock. I've never played any of them.
Oh my God, you haven't played BioShock? Kevin.
Listen, I played 90-something games a year, okay? You think I got time to play BioShock?
That's like a 8-hour game. It's like a survival horror game, but it's underwater, and there's crazy dudes with drill hands coming after you.
Yeah, my brother loves all of them.
Yeah, I actually really like BioShock a lot, and I'm excited for System Shock Remake to come out. And I'm hoping that remake's really good. It's being made by Night Dive, though, and they mostly port games. So this is their first, full remake of a game. So I'm interested to see how this one turns out. But moving on, again, I promised RPGs were coming. Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection comes to PC June 1st. This is a first-person RPG collection of 3 games that were on the Nintendo DS before that actually used both screens because you had to draw the map on the bottom screen. I have no idea how this is going to play, though, considering the fact that you won't be playing it on touchscreen consoles because we'll be playing it on PC or Switch. Kevin, does this one strike your interest at all? It is an RPG, at least, and I know you play RPGs.
Not at launch. This is one I've seen. There's a YouTuber I like who talks very highly of these games. She's shown them off, and it's something that I'm like, it looks interesting, but I have no idea how, because they're always on DS, and I'm like, how do you play this without a DS though? Yeah. So I'm waiting to see. This might be a sale game for me, because it is a collection, so you get your money's worth for sure. But not knowing anything about them and just having a vague interest, this is a wait and see for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat where I know because it's Sega, it will go on sale. So I'm just gonna wait for that inevitable sale to happen over Black Friday or later in this year, and then I think that's when I check these out. Because I know it's not just, your other RPG YouTuber that you mentioned. Garrett also speaks highly of these games, and I kind of want to try them out as well, because he's sold me on at least playing them at some point. But I definitely think, for me, the time frame just doesn't work. Because the next day, June 2nd, Street Fighter 6 comes out, and boy howdy, I'm excited for Street Fighter 6. That game looks awesome. I love 2D fighting games, as we talked about earlier with Blaze Blue, and I'm so excited for Street Fighter 6. So that's a day one for me. But what about you, Kevin?
This, in terms of the fighting games coming out, I think I'm more excited for Tekken.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
I've always, to be honest, I've always preferred Tekken.
Okay.
If we're being honest, Street Fighter has always felt a little too complicated for. I'm not, or maybe I'm just bad at it. Okay. So
I like the fact that you say complicated when Tekken is like way more complicated than Street Fighter is. As someone who's played a lot of fighting games, I can tell you, it's just.
I guess I'm just bad at it. Let's just go. But I don't know. Tekken is speaking to me more than this right now. I'm sure it's gonna be great, but it's not a day one. This is like a sale for sure, or a subscription service, because I know they just added Street Fighter 5, I think, to PS Plus too. So
yeah, but that was also like 6 years after it came out. So it might. Who knows? Maybe in 6 years we finally get Street Fighter 6 on.
And then I'll play it.
And then you'll finally play it. But yeah, I'm like all in, because again, I love 2D fighting games, so I can't wait for Street Fighter 6. But the same day, we're also getting We Love Katamari Reroll Plus Royal Reverie, which is of course the remake of the PlayStation 2 We Love Katamari, which, by the way, the best game in the Katamari Damacy series, of course, is We Love Katamari. Without question, it's the best game in that series. That game is like stupid and wacky in all the best ways, and I'm excited to play it, but definitely not at launch. Like, this is a wait for sale game because of the timing.
I didn't know there were so many games in this series. I thought it was literally just Katamari Damacy, and then it was like we're done. I didn't know they made more of them.
It sold so well, like the first one did, so they kept making them. They had one to, in fact, like when Microsoft was getting all the Japanese developers on board to make games for Xbox 360, one of those exclusive games that they signed was a exclusive Katamari series game for Xbox 360 that did come out. So there is that, Kevin. There's some lineage with Xbox and Katamari. But moving on, okay. June 6th. I mean, Diablo 4 is out on June 6th, and I mean, I'm going straight to hell with that one. I can't wait to play it. It's day one for me.
Day one. I can't wait to squat up with I love Diablo. I've been Diablo day one for decades now. I love Diablo. I didn't even play the beta because I knew, I was like, it doesn't carry over, first of all, but also I don't want to play it, fall in love, and then have to wait, which I think has hit a lot of people. So I'm gonna be there. I already got my squad ready. We know what classes we're gonna be picking. We know where we're gonna be rolling. So I'm so pumped for Diablo.
Nice. I haven't done any of that prep yet. I need to do that prep at some point to figure out who I'm playing with and what classes we're going to play with and stuff like that, and strategize a little bit, because I played 45 hours of the beta, Kevin, and I'm jonesing for more. I'm like, I'm that gift that's like, hey, you got any more Diablo 4? I need Diablo 4 back in my life sooner rather than later, Kevin. So yeah.
Are you getting the deluxe version so you get early access?
Oh, I already have it pre-ordered.
Oh, okay. All right. I see you.
No, I'm in. I'm like, I need to play this as soon as possible when it comes out, because I'm like chomping at the bit to play Diablo 4. I can't wait for that game. But next up, I put this one specifically on this list for Kevin Ainsworth. Crash Team Rumble, June 20th. I have no interest in playing this game. What about you, Kevin? I know you're pretty excited about it.
I got it pre-ordered. I'll be in the closed beta starting tomorrow, all through the weekend into Monday. I'm trying to get some people together. I know Luke Lore and the Xbox Expansion Pass Discord. We're handing out codes. We're getting some groups together. I love Crash Bandicoot, and luckily my Twitter poll, the majority of you chose correctly. Crash Bandicoot is better than Tom Clancy's The Division, who I don't even know what.
How is that even a conversation? Of course it is.
Sean, listen, Sean, I love you, buddy, but I don't know what you're doing. All right, you're over here defending Ubisoft trash when we got Crash Bandicoot.
You really don't like the games that Court Lalonde likes.
I know. I don't. I'm super excited for Crash Bandicoot. It's like a MOBA, competitive, like 4v4 style game.
See, that's why I'm not sold on it right away, because I'm someone also, Kevin, who actually really likes Crash Bandicoot. Like, I was so excited when Crash Bandicoot 4 came out, and that game was awesome, and I loved the remakes of Crash 1 through 3, but this is just not the style of game that I'm excited about. So that's why I'm not excited about this one in particular. So it has nothing to do with Crash and more of the style of game that this is more than anything.
It's very possible that I play the open or the closed beta this weekend and it's bad, and then I cancel my pre-order and I'm a sad boy. But I'm hoping that isn't the case.
Yeah. I again, for Crash fans, I'm actually hoping that I'm wrong about this one. I'm hoping that it's awesome, but we'll see. I'm excited to talk about people when that beta comes out this week. But the same week, Kevin, Final Fantasy 16 comes out on June 22nd. Yes, I know it's a PS5 exclusive, but it's also my most anticipated game for the entire year, and you better believe Ryan Turford's there day one for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna put Crash down. I'm gonna put Diablo down. I'll play Final Fantasy 16, and we'll have to split those somehow. However, the gods decide. I don't know how June is gonna be, but that showcase last week before, I don't know when it was, but man, it looked so good.
Yeah, it looks really awesome. I can't wait for that game too. Next up, the next day, we're getting Sonic Origins Plus, baby, which of course, Sonic Origins came out last year, but this is kind of a paid DLC update for it, which adds 12 Game Gear Sonic games to Sonic Origins as well. I'm definitely picking this up, but obviously I'm not going to be marathoning those games at all when this comes out, because of course it comes out the day after Final Fantasy 16. So it's just one of those things where I'll play those games before the end of the year. But I like the Game Gear Sonic games. I think they're really fun. In fact, some of them, you might argue, are actually better than the Genesis Sonic games. So there you go. Kevin obviously doesn't care about Sonic, so.
I love Sonic.
Oh, geez.
I just like 3D Sonic.
Of course you do. Of course you do. I knew there was a monkey's paw kind of like, I got my wish, and of course it was twisted the wrong way, because of course Kevin prefers 3D Sonic over 2D Sonic.
I do. I prefer 3D Sonic. I'm waiting for Frontiers to go to like a price point that I feel comfortable picking it up at, because $40 ain't it for me. But
that game's awesome though. So when you finally get to play it, I know you'll like it.
Yeah,
despite the fact that you hate open world games. So
I like Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, that game, I loved that game.
Oh my god! All right, next up, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. This is out on June 30th. This is an old DS game as well. Of course, this is kind of the theme in this chart here. Old DS game. I know Seth Sturgill, probably the biggest Ghost Trick Phantom Detective fan in real life that I've ever met. I've heard a lot of good things about this game. This is also a wait for sale for me. Like, this is one that I'm excited to play eventually, but it's not something I need to play the same month that Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy 16 all come out in.
I'd never even heard of this game till Seth talked about it.
He never sold it. He didn't get it. He didn't sell you on it though, because that game, it sounds really cool.
No, I don't think it's for me.
Okay. Well, I know a game that is for you. The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie comes into PC on July 7th. I mean, I think we're both day one on this one.
Oh yeah, well, day one for sure. Yeah, I'm going to play this game no matter whether I buy it or whether I am lucky enough to review it. However, the cards fall, but I will be putting an obscene amount of time into this as soon as it's in my hands.
I was gonna say, look forward to. We will probably have a discussion about that. So just look forward to us having a discussion about it in the future at some point. Moving on, just announced today. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals comes to PC on July 12th. This is a game that got announced forever ago, but didn't have a release date. So we finally got the release date today for it. Game looks pretty cool. I liked the first Oxenfree. It had some great writing. And it was just a very chill game. So I'm on the fence. I don't know if I'm playing this right away, but I definitely want to play it before the end of the year. Kevin, this doesn't strike me as your kind of game, but what do you think about Oxenfree 2?
I didn't know what this was. I saw everyone freaking out, and I was like, "What is Oxenfree?" I've never I'm not familiar. I saw people. I know my No Limits host Sam posted it in our Discord, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, what's going on, guys? And it's not coming to Xbox, and I was like, all right,
which is the weird thing, because the first one was an Xbox exclusive. That it was a timed Xbox exclusive to start, and then it went to other platforms.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which is weird to think about, because now the sequel is coming to everything except Xbox.
Go play it on Netflix.
it is it is coming to Netflix, but not Xbox. Just let that sink in for a second. All right, and the last game to round out our calendar, Kevin, unless you had any more to suggest, July 14th, the dinosaurs raid from the sky. It is time for Exoprimal. Of course, everyone's super excited about Exoprimal except me, I think, because I just personally don't care about this game. I just wish it was Dino Crisis instead, is all I'll say.
This game, I didn't hear good things about the beta. First of all, I heard it was ridiculous, but also every time they show the trailer, I get these PNG dinosaurs falling off the bridge, and I'm like, what's going on here? So this is not it for me. But I have a few more that you didn't list here. Immortals of Avium, Ryan.
Oh, that's right. I
That
forgot
game
about that one.
that was just revealed last week. It looks very interesting to me. First person sort of magic shooter style game. I think it comes from people that have previous experience making like Call of Duty, and they wanted to make a Call of Duty-esque game but without guns, and it looks pretty interesting. This is one I'm going to keep my eye on.
Nice.
And then last one, this one's not coming to Xbox. Disney Illusion Island.
Yeah, that's why I didn't list that one either, because I knew it wasn't coming to Xbox or anything.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out though, platforming Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that game looks
Goofy.
cool.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Yeah. I also didn't, put down Disney Speedsters, that kart racing game that came out today either. At this point, we could have put that. We could have talked about that, but
I forgot that came out.
see, there you go. But that's our list. So for the most part, it looks like the roadmap, anyways, is Kevin's basically going to play Redfall and then Mega Man Battle Network until the end of May at this point. Assuming something else just kind of strikes your interest, and then June, it sounds like all the games for you are coming out. That seems like what I'm kind of getting here.
August, if we had continued, August is packed for me.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for August. It's a week after week after week for me.
It's kind of ridiculous. I looked at it too, and I'm like, this would take too long if we kept doing that. But as for me, I think my roadmap looks like Dead Island 2. I'm like this close to pulling the trigger on Dead Island 2. So I think that's probably going to happen. Honkai Star Rail, I'm going to try and see if it, fits with me. If not, Last Case of Benedict Fox is definitely, I think, the game I really want to try next week and play through that before Redfall on May 2nd. And Redfall should take me to Tears of the Kingdom, which then I'll probably devote a week to Tears of the Kingdom, because I definitely want to check out Lego 2K Drive. I'm actually pretty excited about that game, which then takes me to System Shock Remake, which then brings me to the month of games, because Street Fighter 6 and Diablo 4, somehow I'm going to play those games in tandem until Final Fantasy 16 comes out on the 22nd. And then after that, Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie will be around the corner. And that kind of rounds out my schedule. So pretty packed. Yeah, that's why Jedi Survivor gets kind of put to the wayside on this list, because there's way too many games in here to count. But yeah.
Captain Logan in the chat says, I worry that Kevin doesn't play games where he can't list all the developers on both hands. Everything's an indie.
Yeah,
I do like indie games. My August is pretty indie. Atlas Fallen, which is AA, Sea of Stars, Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk. So yeah. I like indie. I like some indie games.
You
but I
listed
also
some really good looking games too there.
I love hanging out in the AA indie space, and then I'll come in for the Diablos and then peace back out.
Yeah, or just random JRPGs too, like the Trails games and stuff. But last but not least, Kevin, we gotta, of course, let some friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. We got some quick questions this week. We're going to start with Sean Capri, who has a specific question for Kevin.
Oh, God.
Can Kevin prove that he indeed does have a job by telling us the color of soap in the bathroom at his work? Also, Kevin, how many games did you finish this week? 14? And then Hoppel, before I go to you, Kevin, says, the question I have is, why does Sean know the color of soap at Kevin's workplace, Sean?
Great question, Hoppel. I don't know. Sean has something to explain to answer Sean's question. My soap at work doesn't have a color. It's clear, and then you squeeze it, and it comes out as foam. All right, so it isn't no color unless you want to count the white of the foam. But I finished one game this week.
Yeah.
Trails of Cold Steel 4.
I like how you're
So,
questioning that you're a little bit like maybe you played finished a game in your sleep or something and you just didn't remember it.
Trying to remember if there was anything. I think it's just that one.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, I finished.
No. I finished The Quarry as well. So I finished 2.
There you go. That's a good game too. But
Yeah, I like that one.
nice. I mean, to be fair, I beat more games than you this week, Kevin, because I beat, Classic Concentration 7 times this week, and then I beat American Gladiators on NES 3 times, and then I beat American Gladiators twice on Super Nintendo. So there you go. I beat more games than Kevin this week. Congratulations. And actually, they were thinking about the soap in the bathroom. Believe it or not, that's actually the way the soap at my job is too. So there you go. Although it would have been funny if Kevin actually said he works from home, because that's also a possibility where it's just like, you might not even go to your office.
No, unfortunately, I got to drive 30 minutes both ways. So.
That sounds like the little worst thing ever. Moving on. BobLoblaw 574 asks, blueberry poppy seed or chocolate chip muffins? Which do you prefer? What kind of muffin do you prefer, Kevin? Or do you even like muffins at all?
I love muffins.
You are the muffin mom.
Obviously. Yeah, exactly. The name literally came from me in college, where I used to just eat 2 muffins a day. All right. My preferred muffin is banana nut. All right. Oh. And I used to get 2 banana nut muffins from Tim Hortons every single day because they were on campus. And but if I had to pick from those, chocolate chip.
That's so weird. You talking about Tim Hortons at an American college when that's such a synonymous Canadian thing, and I never hear about Americans talking about Tim Hortons.
I went to college 30 minutes from Montreal. Okay. So it's right by they just put one there. We got a lot of Canadians that came over. We would go to Montreal. It was a whole thing.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Even though I remember when I was in New York once, I was dating a girl who lived in New York, and we were going through with a big subway station. There was like a random Tim Hortons there, and I thought that was like super weird, just going to New York. And it was right next door to a really great pizza place where we had like a great slice of New York pizza, because that's always a good thing to do there. But moving on, we got Seth Sturgill, aka $2 Hero, who says, hi there, long time, first time. I would like each of you to haphazardly rank the core games in the Halo series in order of personal preference. I can provide my own ranking to your request, but it's essentially Halo 2 and then all the other games. Kevin, to give you some time to think and organize your list, I came up with my list at a time. So for me, my personal favorite Halo game is actually Halo Combat Evolved on the original Xbox. First one, number 1, Halo Combat Evolved, then Halo Reach, then Halo 2, then Halo 3, then Halo ODST, then Halo 4, then Halo 5. Oh, I forgot Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite above Halo ODST. But then, Halo 5, very bottom. I don't care about that game. I hate that game.
Okay.
Kevin, what is your personal ranking of the Halo games?
It's funny we get this question with Logan and Luke in the chat, because they did a Patreon video of this topic, and I didn't agree with their list at all, and they're about to hate me. So Halo 2 is undoubtedly number 1.
Okay.
Then I would put Halo 3. Then Halo Infinite.
Okay.
Then Halo Combat Evolved. Then Halo Reach. Then Halo 5. Then ODST. And dead last, undoubtedly, the worst Halo game, Halo 4. I cannot stand the multiplayer. I can't stand the story. Nothing about Halo 4 is good to me.
How is Halo 4 worse than Halo 5? That's the only thing that boggles my mind.
I didn't even mind 5 that much. It was boring, but it wasn't like, I found Halo 4 like egregiously aggressively bad. Like, I didn't want to play it.
Oh, I agree. I didn't love Halo 4 either, but I also I don't know. I guess I just hate Halo 5 so much. It just blinds me to everything else, I guess. But of course, we're getting some loving messages for you in the chat over everything. But this is what happens. I mean, we can blame Seth more. I think he was the one who suggested the question, Kevin. It's all Seth's fault.
Yeah, This is his fault.
But at the same time, I don't feel like you and I are too off base from each other. I feel like we're pretty similar. We have different ordering, but I feel like we're kind of on the same base, I think.
Luke says Crash Bandicoot sucks.
Look what we've done. Oh my God. All right. Last question of the week comes to us from I Can't See, who asked the question, are there any other games that are on Game Pass aside from Minecraft Dungeons that are like Diablo? If so, what are your favorites? I've been on a Diablo ARPG kick lately because I know I Can't See he's been playing Torchlight 2. So I know that's like a Diablo style game as well. Unfortunately, I Can't See. I went and checked the Game Pass list, and there aren't really Diablo likes in Game Pass. The closest I could find is The Ascent, which is kind of like a cyberpunk inspired Diablo style action RPG, but I also don't really recommend that game because I personally didn't really enjoy that game too much. And I know Sean didn't really felt the same way about it as I did. But what about you, Kevin? Because as far as I could tell, I couldn't see any, but did you notice anything, or do you know of any other Diablo-like recommendations maybe we can give to I Can't See, I think?
I don't think there are any on Game Pass anymore. Torchlight was on there, but it's gone. I think the closest thing I know of is like Path of Exile, which isn't. I think you probably have to buy that, so it's not on Game Pass.
No, yeah. Path of Exile. Luke points that out in the chat as well. Path of Exile as well. I think that's a good choice. There are some good choices on Xbox. You've got that. You've got Titan Quest. You've got the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance games. Although those are a little more actiony and a little more arcadey than something like Diablo is, but I think those are actually like not bad games. I think you've got some good choices, but I just don't think you have like any choices in Game Pass, unfortunately, which is too bad.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's going to do it for this week's show, Kevin. So first off, thank you so much for hopping in the car with me again, dude. I really appreciate you jumping in this week. And of course, where can everyone find you on the internet?
Yeah, happy to stop by. Always a good time and chat. Love all of you guys. But if you want to find me, you can come over to Save the Game Media, our YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcasts. We have tons of different shows every single day. Just type Save the Game Media into your podcast feed of choice, and you'll find all our shows. YouTube. You can find me at the Muffin Mon on Twitter. It's a 1 instead of an I and an O instead of an A.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can also find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming. Remember, head on over there on Monday to see our very special announcement. Y'all are definitely going to want to find out about this. It's really awesome. Also, you can find us on YouTube right here, youtube.com/carpoolgaming, as well as on podcast services around the globe. So for Kevin Ainsworth, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 287, the Xbox Drive. Only 13 more episodes until episode 300, and we're out. Good night, everybody.
Bye.